Can't believe I have to follow that. Thanks, Kim. For the lineup. And I just want to say thanks to all the volunteers who work for you. They're so great. And people are paying attention to this, you know, all over the country, to this library that's taking shape, and are really interested in, I'm thankful for the work that you guys are doing. Volunteers back there, right? So I got really bored at work, and I used to work for a national political magazine, and I won't mention the name of the magazine in case you know my boss, but I had 4 email accounts, and I got a lot of bulk mail. I got a lot of spam, and so I got bored and started writing poems from the language in the spam email. So this is like a totally audience alienating poem to start. It's called Talking to Your Doctor About Endometriosis, and it has 2 German words. Unterblussingen, which translates roughly as like to flush under or away, and one of those really impossibly long German words, Gewinnspielteilnahme, which translates as roughly, again, you gotta play to win. So talking to your doctor about endometriosis. Go cervix. Your burly creature thrives in its little cavern. Unterblussingen, your little joss. The men don't know we named him Ronnie, a precept revved for the pullback, to vend, as in refi your car, be a better lover in the vernacular. Howdy, we've got matron lumber, a repertory built in solid rustic materials where close attention has been paid to every detail. Gewinnspielteilnahme, unkindly primeval in the name of La Scala. Hope to God the slide stained potassium brown clears the marshal. Hope to God your check is still waiting. This poem is about selling my house in Madison, Wisconsin, which I did a 1.5 years ago. And I sold it myself, and I had to have open houses by myself and entertain a lot of strangers who were mostly recently divorced men who wanted to tell me about their failed relationships and like lingered a little too long, or a lot too long, really. And so, you know, when you sell your house, you have to fill out a disclosure form to state all the defects in the home. And so this is my interpretation of the disclosure statement. Disclosure. 85% of this 2-bedroom, 1-bath, turnkey turn of the century has been lost to dark matter. It's unrecoverable, manifest destiny. Like me, you'll never comprehend it. In Category 3 hurricanes, the bedroom skylights leak, but your more pressing concern will be what escapes. Night demons, worst intentions, core heat, sex acts captured by government satellite. The old knob and tube electrical is long gone, but that doesn't mean I can guarantee you won't die a painful death by fire. The furnace runs on a gaseous inner will entirely its own. About explosions. A giant hydrogen cloud is racing toward a collision with the Milky Way. It's 20 million years down the road, but I have no idea how long you plan to stay. To the uninitiated, the floor seems solid, it's true, but you'll come to understand particles in this house occasionally go AWOL, let go of their properties in a rush of mad desire. In such cases, you run the risk of stepping off into the void. Beware the northwest corners that hoard your best ideas and probable collisions between your furniture and my event horizon. Minor annoyances that will fade with time. If you dig too deep in the backyard, you'll disturb a deposit of skeletal dust. Send it airborne. Alter microclimates. The ancestral neighbors will complain, sometimes call the cops, but it's not a crime. There. I understand your despair. See, you're already at home here. You would stay to weep in my arms if only I uncrossed them. I couldn't possibly. The most I can do is explain the hazards in the kitchen, remodeled according to my brave new concept of the phenomenal world, my only form of hospitality to send my senses traveling outside my body. Here, have a cookie. I followed an old family theory. All my instructions are metaphysical. The plumbing, the AC, any guarantee the locks will keep you in or the hostility out. What I can say is that your body now stands in a particular relationship to mine, some kind of overlay or constellation best left to the lawyers to interpret. In full disclosure, when I say the body, I mean the soul, and by soul, I mean I am wrapped and checked and wish to be larger, more expensive. I mean, I'd rather hold your hand instead of shaking it, show you how I found my way into this house by a small hole in the alphabet. I bent to the spoken shape, the broken frame. What came before was a dead zone, wanting a hand to wrench from it whatever stillness it might be holding inside. You can still see it in a drop of water just before it lets go of the icicle. From this window, you can watch a young city hawk, too fat to fly, but he does. And the bleached field that ignites in a certain turn of light, it's not really there. Oh, God, I picked the longest bones. Okay. This one's called Ward. The tree was not exactly weeping, but it was purging something from deep inside, a pang that seeped a sappy thickness, thick with the fibrous bilge of prehistory, its leaves like downward daggers, tangs of urge and mad at the whole earth, but sympathetic with the universe, marching to a dirge of 1,000 tiny wet feet tapping. Tap, tap, tap. The branches descended, came down to the doors, pawed at the windows. I was just saying, anyone who dedicates a book to that woman is on my shit list. Yada yada, my usual troubled themes, a house full of thieves, and my disadvantaged youth nibbling at my ankles, my bad knee. But you were mooning out the window, or at the fly tap tap tapping the screen, remembering someone, I don't know who, but I know longing when I see it. The branches of the walnut descended another inch with a grunt, then 2 more, hovered and honed in, looked, yes, the leaves began peering in the windows, eyes like jade prongs, armed and operatic, tricky as Germans. We both felt arrested by the green hue it cast into the room, and by something else too, something courageous and inside and completely made up. Affairs are contagious, I said, and you looked sad, and I remembered the 2 young poets who sat on our 2 red couches and wouldn't look at the TV because it polluted their memes. They jawed, opined, tapped their wooden heels on our wooden floor, tap, tap, tap. Dactyls and spondies, and I would have called them kibitzers, except Yiddish flew over their heads like a soul afflicted, like an ill tree, like the rain. Their memes were pure as Nazis. They wanted to chant and be taken seriously. Seriously? Their pre-Christian arrogance could not be exorcised. More talented exorcists had already tried. I wanted less T.S. Eliot and more insight into March Madness, less papyrus and more reckless schmaltz of American Idol. The worse they sang, the harder I cried. They leaned in to hear my thoughts on syllabic collision and German translation and took them without permission. I made an empty threat. I wanted to return to the good old badness of the off-key, the burn of surprise, regret of poor pedigree and analog transmission. I wanted baldness, outside art by outsider artists. I had an idea about 3 colors. I told it to you and you took it. The tree was all around us, sallow, ruddy, olive, an intellect without character. overeducated, but not in the ways of love, in need of good parenting, sorry for its own nature, but being what it had to be anyway, getting more intimate with its illness, knocking at the door, tap, 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 and I did what was in my nature to do, ward of the earth and private man that I am. I opened the door to the tremor at the threshold, recognized it for its shiver and cold sweat, its high IQ, and all the useful brain tissue I was missing, saw it for its threat and its canard, and invited it inward. Thanks.